I didn't think about this, but we didn't think of a title to come up with this. Scary-tober? No.
That was
I thought, okay, I did think of one before when I came over. It was like something of the line of like, Scarecorn. Hey, welcome to Scarecorn movie or something like that. So I think we're gonna have 2 series running at the same time. I think you and Phil are gonna be doing cheesy.
We're going to be watching the Universal movies from like the 30s, so I wouldn't necessarily call it cheesy, but
And then we're gonna watch newer kind of horror movies. But so this is Psycho Goreman.
okay.
So I'm not gonna give away what I know about this movie because I think if you give it away, it's not gonna be as entertaining for you.
Mm-hmm.
But you had pointed this out at Walmart. You're like, hey, look at that, Psycho Goreman, and I'm like, oh look, another cheesy horror movie. Whatever, blah 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 blah. And so I later on in life, like a week later, I watched a trailer. I'm like, whoa, this actually looks pretty good. So I went to Walmart the next day, and of course they didn't have it, or they moved it to a different spot. So I bought it from Amazon, and then the next weekend that we went in, it was at the bottom.
Yeah, and there was like 1,000 of them.
I was like, what the fuck? So so what do you think that sort of Psycho Goreman's about?
Can I see the cover?
You can see the cover. Don't read the back because the back will give it away.
Oh, it's heartwarming and heart-ripping. This man is a merman from space, and he's got, I think, a harpoon gun, and he's going to rip out hearts and then make you fall in love with them. It's like The Shape of Water.
Oh, okay.
Except instead of water,
I
it's
can't
blood.
believe that you called what it is.
And then it's probably gonna be like 80s fueled. Like, yeah. Like retro.
Okay.
Also, I'm thinking this man will probably be in, not the next Mortal Kombat, but maybe like 3 more down the line as a guest character.
If he can only hope to be.
I mean,
he looks like he could be one. He looks like he'd be in Call of Duty.
No, man, he's a Mortal Kombat character. Or a DC reject. He's one of those.
Read the top of the cover.
Yeah, he will bathe in your blood.
Yeah.
Yeah. A heartwarming and heart-ripping family classic. Alright. Let's see what Mortal Kombat Man has to offer us.
We'll see in a few short seconds. Oh, that was a good movie. That was actually pretty good.
I mean, it was better than most of the stuff we watch.
I was gonna say if it better than the Shark Week that we're starting on a high note. I should say that.
Yeah, it can only go down from here.
So I think the easiest way to explain this movie is it's the Grim Adventures of Billy and Mandy meets Power Rangers.
Yeah, basically.
It's
Psycho Goreman was basically Grim from Grim Adventures of Billy and Mandy, and all the archetypes were there. They were all the same.
Yep. The dad's the idiot lazy guy. The mom is the
2 steps away from cracking.
The younger brother, or not younger brother, but
I think he's the older brother.
Yeah, older brother is I don't, not dumb.
He's not quite like Billy, but he might as well be. He gets bullied a lot
By his sister, and then Mimi, the daughter,
is basically just Mandy with a nose.
So we start the movie off with I don't know what they call it, but it's basically dodgeball with rules.
It's something
that doesn't the point. It's basically our point system where we're like, oh yeah, it means absolutely nothing unless you. The only way, okay, so you can do all the fucking points, you can get all the points in the world, but if the 2 balls hit each other, and the first person to punch the other person, they win all the points plus 1.
Yeah.
So it's like.
It's basically just random the game.
And so Mimi wins, and Luke has to Luke's the brother. Luke has to dig his own grave, basically.
Yeah,
in the backyard.
So they do this before 9 o'clock. Big asshole.
And keep it. There's a tree, so I don't know how this hole. I'd say they're probably about maybe.
It's at least a 5-foot deep hole.
They're probably 4 feet tall. Whatever a sixth grader is, maybe fifth grader. They're about that height, and so it's about that deep.
I'm thinking it's at least a 5-foot deep hole, and it's not just like 5 foot straight down.
Yeah, it's got good girth.
It's probably like maybe a 6-foot diameter. It's big.
Yeah.
And so they find this disc that's basically Simon Says, apparently.
Yeah.
And so Mimi does the password through sheer chance, and out pops Ivan Ooze from the Power Rangers.
Yeah.
No, it's not Ivan Ooze. It's Psycho Goreman, but he doesn't come out till later. They bury the disc, and then the next morning the hole has been dug out again, and Psycho Goreman has committed many murders.
Only 3. As we know, he only showed 3.
They only showed 3, but there was probably many on its way to this factory, which he's camping out in now. And so the dad's, they're like, so somebody's gonna have to fill this hole, and the dad's like, he gets put up for the job, and then he goes to shovel it, and
he's like, oh, my hand.
He sprains his wrist. We don't know if it was real or not. It was probably fake.
Yeah, so I would say the one thing that the movie doesn't do well, and this will be a key factor towards the end. The mom and dad are fighting, not like
they both seem passive aggressive about it.
Basically, how you think of your parents, like they'll have like a quick argument, and not like abusive, like not abusive or anything, just like, well, why don't you clean the dishes, or why don't you make the food, or something like that, like something quick. But the movie doesn't explain it well, and this will come a key factor towards the end. But yeah, he sprains his arm, and then they fill the hole back in, and then Psycho Goreman then shows up tonight.
Well, the kids go out at night, following the tracks.
Oh yeah,
that leads them to the old shoe factory where somebody supposedly died. That means nothing. It's just a throwaway line.
Well, and I told you, I think that might be a reference to Jumanji, because I believe that the in Jumanji the shoe place got closed down after Robin Williams went missing or something.
Yeah, but I don't think that was like death related. I think that was just the. This is unrelated altogether, but I think it's because.
Well, yeah.
Because the daughter went crazy because of the bats.
Right.
So I'm assuming. The shoe guy was probably like, well, everything's up in smoke now.
Yeah.
Anyway, so they find Goreman, and they learn that the jewel that Mimi is carrying basically controls him. So they force him to just sit there the night, just sit there.
Yeah.
And do nothing. They come back with their weird friend from school. I guess he's not weird, but
he's Mimi's love interest in a way, and they dropped this like shortly after, and then they try to bring it back, and then they just kind of let it go.
And so they come back, and then they make Goreman watch TV because.
And then Goreman is able to somehow send a message through the TV saying, "Hey, I'm being held here hostage." To his crew. He's like, "Hey, come here and save me."
And they're like, "Okay, we'll be there in a minute, boss." And it takes like 6 hours for them to get there. It's a long way out. I completely forgot about that.
Yeah, and also at this time, there's another group who is basically space cops the Templars. Yeah, the Templars, who keep justice, law, and order between all of the world.
Theoretically.
And they go, okay, well, we gotta go to this planet because obviously Goreman's gonna be killing. They don't call him Goreman; they call him something else. But like, obviously Goreman's gonna be killing everybody. So they bring a black lady, and they end up killing the black lady, and then
oh oh man, what's her name? Pandora.
Yeah, Pandora ends up eating her blood because they turn the Black Lady into a cube.
Yeah, they yeah.
And then she
becomes
the Black Lady.
Yeah.
And then we won't see her till the end of the movie.
Yeah, for a while. So basically, it just becomes Mimi's got this murder pet who has to do everything she says, and their friend gets turned into a brain.
Yeah, Goreman somehow turns the kid into a brain.
It was some torture method he learned from some place. And everybody's fine with it.
Yeah,
nobody cares.
Yeah, I was gonna say they go out in public. There's like a short montage of there's some song that they reduxed into something else, and there's a short montage of all them walking around, and some girl on a bike was like, oh, look at you, ugly, and Goreman
nice Halloween costume, and then she just explodes.
Goreman just turns and looks at her and explodes, and like nobody cares. We're still walking, but so then after that montage, then oh fuck, what happened?
So Goreman's like, yo, Luke, you gotta get that gem from her.
Right.
Like this is some bullshit. If you get that gem from her, like we won't have to suffer anymore.
Yeah, because Luke is the guy. He kind of, I mean, he loves his sister. I can tell from the thing, but his sister is basically. If you've seen Grim Adventures of Billy Mandy, she's basically Mandy.
Yeah. Kind
of punches him and says, "Oh, you're not on my level." Because there's also a scene at the very beginning where the girl's like, "Oh, well, if there's a monster comes, can I kill Luke first?"
Yeah, tell him to kill Luke first.
And I was like, "Oh, Jesus." What?
So, that all of that leads to nothing.
Well, so is this where they're playing they're explaining the rules for dodgeball?
Well, yeah. So the next scene, they're explaining the rules to Goreman about how random the game works, and two cops show up,
and
unload on him.
Yeah.
And one of the cops gets turned into a zombie.
Probably my favorite character of the entire thing.
And so the other cop, Goreman's like, go and tell your friends that I am here. So he tries to get back in the car, but he doesn't have the keys, so he just runs off. And so they start to explain the dodgeball game again, and Brain Friend is just like, you know what, I'm out. And he just exits the movie until the very end.
Yeah, and then Mimi's like, you know, because the kid asks him, will I ever be normal again? And she's like,
I love you, no matter what you look like.
And then she kisses him, and then off he goes.
He just slowly crawls off screen.
I was a little sad for him. I'm like, you know, you're kind of in an abusive relationship right now.
So, the four of them, the kids, Goreman, and Zombie Cop,
are going through a forest.
Yeah, and Zombie Cop continues being the best thing about this whole scene.
Yeah, so he's got some so basically one of his eyes is kind of like popped out, like it's still in his head, but it's like popped out, and he's just making these faces, and he's moving his arms like spaghetti. He's like, oh, kill me.
He can't move his elbows. He has to like flop his arms out at full length.
And he gives that. Somehow he made a heart note and gave it to
Mimi, and she opens it up and says, "Please kill me."
And his gun's fused to his hand, and he's like shooting himself in the head. And he's like, "Oh, it's not working." Oh, but there's a scene where Mimi is now talking to Luke, and she gets like real mad. She's like, "Goreman, kill him." And Goreman goes up, puts him in a chokehold, or a choke slam, and then Mimi's like, "Now stop."
Nah, just kidding.
You should have seen your face, Luke. It's like, Jesus, kind of a...
Yes, you've gotten to that point already. So, at this point, Goreman's 5 subordinates show up, and they're like... And he's like, yeah, that girl's got the crystal. Kill her. And they're like, nah.
We're happy being our own people.
We share the crown. We pass it around every day or some nonsense like that. And so Goreman goes to fight them because, I mean, they're enemies now. And Mimi's like, nope, you can't fight them. You have to apologize. And he's like, I'm not apologizing. So he just gets beat up by all 6 of these people. The zombie cop is beating him up too.
And I should say this looks like a Power Rangers fight.
This is the saddest fight. Like they've got him on his knees and they're literally doing nothing to him. And so they're like, yeah, this is kind of boring. So they turn to leave, and this is where Goreman apologizes.
I mean, really sappy. He's like, I'm sorry. Like, not that sappy, but he's like, I'm sorry, okay? And
so they're like, yeah, Goreman, go ahead, kill him, whatever. And so Goreman kills all of them except for the Swamp Witch.
Which is in the swamp.
She gets decapitated, but her head rolls up to Mimi. She kicks it. It goes flying into the woods.
And then now we find out that Goreman's dying.
Yeah, Goreman's bleeding out.
And so now we head to the parents, and they're in a fight. And the mom's like,
"You're just lazy," and that just sets Greg, the dad, off.
He's just like, my mom called me lazy.
My teachers called me lazy, and now you? I thought you were better than that. And she's like, what do you do around the house? So he gets up, he's got his finger out, and she's like, well, I'm waiting. And then just smash cuts to him on the toilet, like, I do all the things in the house. Like, I got a bachelor's in English.
See, and
what have you done with your life?
And this is the part where I was confused, because like I said, they weren't setting that, like, to me, Greg was never lazy. Or not lazy, but the way they set him up at the beginning, he was the one doing all the work, and the mom was the more bossy one, which it kind of seemed like the brother and sister duo.
Yeah.
But now it's like all of a sudden now Greg doesn't do anything. I'm like, okay, you didn't explain this character you didn't explain these two characters very well.
So the
somehow
Goreman astral projects his face. He just starts shouting at Greg. He's like, come find me! And Greg is in the bathroom. He falls into the tub. He's just like, where am I going? Come to the ravine! I don't know where that is! And it's so... Every time, like, Goreman says something, he disappears. And then he comes back. Yeah. He's like, follow the street! So Greg shows up, picks up the kids and Goreman.
And then finishes the witch off by running the head over.
Then he runs over the witch's head. She's like, I will live to fight another day. And then boom, roadkill.
And we talked about the police officers, right?
No, we did not.
So a little bit back, there's a scene where the Pandora shows up, and
yeah, because the cop has gone back to the police station. He's explaining what's going on, and everybody's just looking at him like, what?
Now, okay, Pandora, like I said, the Pandora is now black for skin.
Yeah.
She shows up in the police officers who are all white except for one black officer. Were you a little afraid of where that scene was gonna go? I wasn't
even thinking about
it. Okay, good. Because when she walked in, I'm like, oh.
I was thinking she was gonna say, "Hey, have you seen this guy?" And they're all gonna be like, "Yeah, that dude's seen him." And yeah. to an extent, that's kind of what happens.
Oh right, yeah. It was a good scene. I mean,
So she goes over to the cop that survived the encounter, and basically just reads his mind in the most painful looking way.
Yeah, I was a little worried. I'm like, oh, is she gonna kill the cop?
I was thinking, oh, his head's gonna explode.
And I'm like, okay, so because now they're trying to tell you who you should be rooting for, and they did not do a good job. And but so now we're back. Now the dad and the daughter and Goreman and Luke all show up to the house, and now Pandora's outside their house, and she's like, hey, give me Goreman, and we'll.
Oh, that guy is incredibly evil, and they're like, no. And so Mimi turns to Luke and she's like, go fight her. And he's like, I can't. I just can't. And now at this point, there's some sleight of hand that definitely does not show up in the movie.
Is that when he takes the...
Yeah.
Yeah, that didn't do...
So now Luke, his mom, and Pandora are at the house while Greg, Mimi, and Goreman bail in the truck, and they go to the warehouse. And then they have this. Greg and Mimi have this talk like, Look, when I was younger, there was a man in a van. He wanted to show me.
Well, okay. Before you say that, so Goreman says, "Hey, the only way I'm gonna live, because like I say, he's dying. He needs the crystal that Mimi has. Now, if Goreman gets his crystal, then
he's probably gonna murder the hell out of everybody.
He's gonna murder the hell out of everybody. He's gonna become super powerful again. Okay.
So this is when Greg pulls Mimi aside and is like, "Look, when I was a kid, there was a man with a van, and he's like, hey, do you want to see my baseball card collection?" And so Greg's just like, yeah. So he takes him in.
This was the second scene where I was like, oh no, this is gonna go somewhere.
So he's like, yeah, he pulled me into his van, and then he showed me his massive, pristine baseball card collection. And it was amazing. I'm glad I trusted that weird man. Now you have to trust this weird man.
And it's like, okay, I get what he's saying, but one's a mass murderer, which Greg doesn't know that. You know, because I don't think I don't think he was around for all that. But so Mimi was like, okay, and then
she goes and has a talk with God, which is a scene that they didn't really need to have.
Yeah, that was the third scene that was like a little bit of like, okay, where are they gonna go with that?
But she's looking at a crucifix. She's like, I have a very important question to ask you. Should I wear the regular shades or the zebra? And I don't even know what I'm asking you. I'm going to wear the zebra print shades.
And then she somehow, I don't know how she did, but she breaks the
crucifix over her knee.
I was like, oh, well, I'll let
And then she goes to hand Goreman the life gem, but she doesn't have it. So they pan over to the door, which explodes.
And now Pandora's in.
And then the mom had drunk his like weird potion that Pandora made, and she's also like a robot thing. Yeah. We didn't mention that Pandora's a robot angel thing.
Yeah, well,
but they're both robot angel things. And then Luke just walks in the door. Like,
it's the funniest.
Like,
I mean, it's
not the blown open door, but the door next to it. Like they blew open the garage door.
I mean, I've seen this thousands of times in different movies. It's still fucking funny. It's like, oh, well, I'll still be courteous. I'll walk to this door.
So basically, Team Pandora is winning in each of the fights. They break up into 3 groups to fight their respective enemy.
Yeah,
Pandora is beating Goreman. The mom is beating the dad, but Mimi is beating Luke.
And then Goreman's like, hey,
the handbook says you should at least give me a sporting chance. So, what do you think it devolves? It's random the game.
It's yeah.
And so they're like, so they explain the rules off screen. And Pandora's like, can you explain to me the whole
the balls hitting
the turnabout thing? I don't know. That's what it was.
That's when the balls hit.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. I know there was a specific word they used.
Oh, well, yeah.
And they're like, nope, should have paid attention. So they go
That's what Mimi says. You said, nope, you should pay attention.
They go into the whole thing. Team Pandora has 66 points out of the 67 they need. And, I mean, it's fairly obvious what's going to happen. The balls are going to clash, and then Mimi's team wins because they get all the points plus 1, which is 67. So
Pandora just says, fuck it.
At that point, she's like, I'm not humoring you anymore. I'm just gonna murder the hell out of this guy. Greg breaks his arm because
he high
fives Goreman, and Goreman is apparently a rock. And like his arm just like fucking shatters like in the wrist. It's gross, but he takes it like a champ. He just doesn't care. So Mimi and Luke finally come to an agreement, I guess. Like, hey, maybe you shouldn't be so mean to me.
Yeah.
And I'll give you the Gemerald. So they give the Gemerald back to Goreman, and Pandora's wings turn into a sword. It's probably one of the coolest things this movie does. Honestly, it's so simple, but I liked it. And she's like, you're defenseless. He's like, well, I guess I'll just have to make my own sword. So he just starts ripping out her organs.
It makes a sword. And
makes a red rocket.
Yeah, it looked just like a red rocket.
And they fight, and then it mostly just happens off screen at this point. Like,
yeah, because now at this time, Luke and Mimi are apologizing to each other and hugging, and
yeah,
you see sparks fly. Like
yeah, it's just happening in the background, and then I don't really remember how it happens. Pandora dies.
Yeah, and so
Goreman's like, "I will give you a warrior's death," and then he just kind of unhinges his jaw, and everybody's just like, "We should leave."
Yeah, and
because a warrior's death is
being eaten alive.
Yes. So Goreman finally comes out after his meal, and is like, "Yo, you can have this." And he just gives her the gem, because I learned the real power is the power of love. And everybody just kind of looks at him like, "What?" And he's just like, "Well, I'll honor our deal. You four I will spare." He opens up a portal to Main Street and just starts wrecking shit. And basically the movie just ends with Giant Goreman destroying everything. And the council comes up and they're like, "Okay, we have a plan B." He just slams a revolver down on the table. And
be there in a few seconds.
He's like, "So who wants to shoot themselves first?" And that's basically how the movie ends, except for brain neighbor friend showing up, and his parents are oblivious to him being a brain.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna just wrap this up real quick.
Yep. So as always, we finish with A for our ratings. A being buy on DVD, B being Netflix, C being watch it on TV, D being don't watch it, and F be avoid at all costs. I'll go first. I'm gonna give it an A, a first A. I think it was pretty good. The ending, I'd say that towards the end it slowed down, but I enjoyed the movie immensely, and I'm glad I have it in my collection.
I'd probably give it a B.
Okay.
I mean, it wasn't bad, but like there were just parts that felt like, man, what are you doing?
Right.
Why is this? So there's a whole lot of parts where it's like you could have montaged this.
Well, yeah, montage, and I think the biggest thing for me was I was telling you earlier that they branched off on different stories, like they might have would want to go like I said, the father and mom thing was weird because I really thought that the father was being the one being bossed around and the mom being the bossy one.
Well, I mean, I don't think the father was bossing the mom around. I think he's...
No. What I'm saying is
yeah, but I don't know.
And I didn't realize that he was lazy because like.
Anyway. Yeah.
Yeah.
There was a whole lot of parts that could have been sped up because the scene where everybody's like, "We're going to Earth," that happens like in the first 20 minutes, and then it's like an hour later before anything comes of that.
Right.
But we will see you later with the next quote unquote scary movie.
All right.
See you.